What's up, and welcome to the first installment of this Q&A session. I got way more questions than I thought, so if I don't get to your question in this video, I'm sorry. But I plan to do this Q&As every other week, so every Sunday or something. So if you have any questions, leave them below, and I'll try to answer them. So, how you doing? I'm doing good. A little bit warm. Still no AC. So I'll see how long I last in this room because it's kind of muggy, but I'll do my best. Are you an artist for any company? No. How is your beard so beautiful? And then also, how long have you been growing your beard? Do you trim it? Yes, I trim it. I keep it this length. It's a good length. It's not too long. It's not too short. I also trim up here and my mustache as well as down here. But how long it takes to grow, I have no idea. I don't really keep track. I've had a beard or some sort of facial hair since high school. So it takes about, I don't know, 6 or 7 months to get this long. So that is what it is. What's the best way to mend cracks on a cymbal? There's a channel on YouTube of this guy that does exactly that. His name is Lance Campo. I'll leave a link in the description as well as this video. And speaking of Lance, this isn't a question, but he says we should do a collaboration, which I agree. So if you want to see us two collaborate, let me know. Go to his channel and let him know, and we can probably make it happen. What is your favorite project that you've ever done on or off of your channel? Probably, that's hard because usually it's whatever I'm working on currently or the newest thing that I've made. So last month I made that cutting board on my other channel, and I was like, yeah, this thing is my favorite cutting board ever, and I used it once. And then last week I made that shelf, which is yeah, this is my favorite thing I've ever made. Yeah, it's a shelf. But as far as drum related projects, probably the cowbell and the snare drum. And then also in middle school, I made a groove wedge out of an old skateboard, so that was kind of cool. And then also this drawer. I've mentioned this once or twice, but this thing is the best drawer ever. And also this laptop stand. I leave this over there for my drum set. This was my first welding project, so it's kind of my favorite, I guess. What's your background in music? Did you study playing bands? Keen to know. So my background, I started playing drums the summer of 6th grade. I took lessons, and then 7th and 8th grade I took middle school band. Then at all 4 years of high school band, concert band, and marching band. I was lucky enough that my school had a decent music program and a really good percussion program. So I said, screw the drum line. I'm going to do 4 years of the front ensemble or pit, whatever you want to call it. So I did 4 years of that, playing marimba and whatnot, giving my 4 mallet on. And actually now I teach a lot of front ensembles at high school, so that's kind of cool. So then college, things didn't really go the way I planned. So the school I went to didn't really have a good music program. Well, I still took a few classes. I never really played though. And then bands, a few other people asked about bands. Do you do any drum things or projects outside of your channel, like gigs in a band, etc.? Thanks. So yeah, I've been in a few bands. The first one, my friend started a band. He was the drummer, but he got grounded, so they couldn't play shows. So they got me to fill in. So basically, I was the drummer for that band. There's actually recordings still on the MySpace. I found the MySpace, so if you want to listen, link in the description. But it was a pop-punk band. We played quite a bit of shows, actually. We played with Touche Amore. They're a pretty big band. And also Man Overboard. They're also really big. But I'm not really into that music anymore. And obviously, I don't play in that band anymore. And then I was in another band. We just played a few shows. Nothing really happened. Kind of fizzled out. And then I did another band. It was kind of like an indie project. We recorded all the stuff. Really cool songs. Never posted them. The drum tracks actually were in the background of the testing drum hacks video. So those are the drum tracks for that band. I might end up posting the full recordings eventually, and I'll leave a link if I do. Recently is this I guess you could say it's a punk band called Suicide Watch. I'll leave a link in the description, but that's me playing on those recordings, and I recorded those also myself. So yeah, it's my bands. And kind of related to bands, do you play drums for church? Do you attend church? If so, where? I used to play for a church full time, so every week I'd play, but the people there kind of sucked. I'm not gonna lie, they were horrible, and it was not the band, but it's the church people. I don't know the terms, but the rest of the band, we were really good friends, and they were like, hey, we gotta leave. So if you want to leave, join us. I was like, all right, this is my time. I'm going to quit. I played there for about 2 years. A lot of things happened with the band, so I'll probably talk about that in another video. But yeah, the band ended up leaving, so I was like, I'm leaving too. But I also fill in at a few churches around here. There's like 3 or 4 that call me whenever the drummer is out. So I'll do that every so often. And then there's this one other church that has this like Christmas musical every year. So I do that, and that's pretty fun. But as far as attending church, I don't attend church. I'm not going to lie, I'm not very religious. So yeah. Why is WD-40 bad for your drum lugs? Now, he's talking about the last video I posted about lubing your lugs, and I didn't really say it was bad for your drums, but I kind of implied that it was. It's not bad for your drums. There's just better options. So WD-40, I guess you could consider as a like an oil, but it's more of a solvent, meaning that like it's used to clean things. So like if your bike chain's all rusty and nasty, you use WD-40 to clean it, and then you use oil to like lubricate it. And when it comes to lubing your lugs, anything is better than, nothing. So WD-40, 3-in-1 oil, or anything else, it'll work. There's just better options. And then related, do you have any tips on getting rust off lugs and rims? Yeah, WD-40. Spray some WD-40 on whatever you're trying to get rust off of. Use like a Scotch-Brite pad, scrape it away, and you got a nice shiny rim. I need to know the best way to buy drums on a budget. That's not a question, but the best way is to obviously buy used. So look online, look on eBay, Craigslist, go out to like garage sales and flea markets and pawn shops, thrift stores, and those sort of places. And the thing about buying cheap drums is like, they don't pop up that often. So it's like, just because you go to like a garage sale doesn't mean you're going to find a drum set. Or just because you go to a pawn shop doesn't mean you're going to get like the best deal. So you just have to look around and find the deals yourself. And this may take, months to find like what you're looking for and the price you're looking for. So just be patient and you will find a good deal. This might be the last question, but what's the correct way to practice with a metronome? So there's a lot of things you can do. I might make a video about this, but definitely check out Nate from the 80/20 Drummer. He talks about this thing called micro timing or macro timing, where instead of playing with the metronome and you playing with the click, you like put the metronome on like the offbeats, for example, so that way you have to fit in with the metronome instead of playing over top of it, if that makes any sense. He explains it way better than I am, so check him out. And then another thing you can do is, if you can program your metronome, you can set it for like 16 bars and then have it be muted for 8 bars. So you're playing for 16 and then it mutes for 8 and then it will come back in. And because you're playing with no metronome, and then the metronome comes back in on time, you'll know whether or not you're rushing or dragging, or if you're right on time. So I actually decided I'm going to do a part 2 to this video. It's getting really hot right now, so I'm going to go somewhere and sit in the AC for a minute and think about the questions. So check out part 2. I'll leave a link right here. Check it out, and I'll see you in part 2.